Welcome viewers, and we're back on the PI show, and it's that time of the show where we've got Viv's mailbag. Hello Viv, how are you tonight?
Hello Tony, hi Marty.
Evening Viv.
What a great show it's been. Donahue and Stevenson, I think as a former lawyer and former law student, everyone is interested in that case. Where did the bottle go? I wanted to inspect it myself to see if there was any snails left in there. Was that the original bottle?
Close.
Our first question comes from Damien, who lives in South Bank. He says, "Hi guys, I live in an apartment in South Bank, which is on the 10th floor. Because the elevator is often broken, I often take the stairs. There have been a few occasions when I've come close to falling down the stairs, and I think that they are far too narrow. If I do get injured from falling down the stairs, who could I sue? Many thanks, Damien." Tony.
Well, this is the wrongs act again. You've got to show, obviously if you fell, you'd have to have more than 5% damage, from a physical point of view, and 10% psychiatrically. Now, if the stairs are narrow, then you'd think, and they don't comply with standards, that is the building codes, then you'd have a reasonable claim. But if they comply with the building codes, I think you'd have a problem unless there's issues with lighting and things like that.
Well, you were saying earlier that it's actually a new, most of the apartments in South Bank are quite new.
They are.
So what are the chances of it actually not being compliant at this point in time?
You'd be surprised if they're not compliant, but you can't assume anything.
No, and I took probably a different view on the facts as they were given. Again, it's always get the full details, get the facts. When he said narrow, is narrow in the width of the stairs or is narrow in the height of the stairs? There is an Australian standard in relation to stairs. Engineers will have all the details about that. And then when he says that the lift is often broken, you wouldn't expect that in a new building. So maybe it's an old building that's been renovated in South Bank. I don't quite know.
But all those sorts of facts would go to show negligence if you could prove them.
Yeah,
it's all a matter of proof.
Another little twist that I had to it, Tony, was his awareness.
Yep.
And you could probably assist with, if you're aware of something, contributory negligence, who have you reported it to?
Well, the complaints would be pretty important
That's
too. I
right.
would have thought the issue of negligence.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing I'd like to raise just quickly is that I'm not sure many people know that when you buy apartments in these big blocks, you've got to make sure you take out landlord insurance for the simple fact that if someone gets injured, that is a tenant within your own unit, you may not be covered.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's covered under common law property, isn't it? So there's public liability insurance, but I think
the body
in-house,
corporate covers you for common areas, but it doesn't cover for you someone getting injured within your property.
Yeah.
Again,
Did I say
Tony,
common law?
Common
No, common property,
areas.
sort of. I mean.
Tony, again, it's a situation where you might even ask the body corporate to give you a copy of the insurance policy to see how far the insurance extends.
Precisely, but it wouldn't cover the inside.
No.
I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah, I think landlords really need to be on board with that because they often don't ask for those documents to be tendered, and they could find that they're actually hung out to dry if an accident arose.
Precisely. So the best advice of Damien is be careful.
Yeah. Be careful, exactly. Try and get that elevator fixed. Our next question comes from, I'm assuming, a female, but I'm not sure. Her name and details are withheld. They write, "I work as a secretary at an accounting firm where I've been employed for 2 years. I believe that I've been subjected to racial discrimination and vilification due to the fact that I'm Indian. It started with my boss and other colleagues calling me names, but it has now escalated and I'm getting emails telling me to leave the firm and that I am not welcome. This has distressed me greatly and I'm currently on medication for depression. I am unsure who I should report these incidents to. Do I have a claim?" Again, another bullying, another harassment.
This is a very hot topic, this one.
And I guess you would assume that she's potentially seen a psychiatrist to give her the medication. But Tony, what are your thoughts on this one?
I would have thought that WorkSafe would send some investigators in pretty quick. You'd get them to investigate, you'd get them to have a look, take some statements, work out what's really going on in the place. Now, if it turns out that she's got a nasty injury, I mean, in the short term, she's entitled to a no-fault benefit. It's the usual story, medical treatment, loss of income, etc., etc.
I'd be going back even before that, Tony. I'd be reporting it to the doctor.
Yep.
Where you're getting some professional advice. You need contemporaneous notes. It's not just a figment of her imagination that's made at a later date. If she goes to the doctor and says, "I'm getting these terrible emails" and all that sort of stuff, it's recorded on the doctor's notes. If there's a friend at work that's witnessed it, get the details of the friend. Thirdly, download the emails and take them home.
Keep
Get the facts. I always harp on it. Get the facts, get the evidence. Otherwise, you don't have a claim, or you may not have a claim. Then, as Tony says, you put in a claim form, the process begins, and as Tony said, in these sort of circumstances, there are very strict guidelines on bullying and harassment at WorkSafe. You would think that they would have one of their investigators get involved.
Guaranteed.
Straight away.
Obviously, she needs counselling and help. These other people are going to have to be dealt with as well.
And get some advice pretty quick.
Absolutely.
Because that way you can, protect yourself.
Well, it's kind of daunting though. These people, I mean, they obviously feel like they're a part of a minority group. So it is really hard for people in these circumstances, particularly if she feels as though she has no other employment options.
Viv, can I say this? Just from the individual's point of view, if they're not that far gone, best thing to do is just get out of the employment. Just change your job.
But it doesn't make the behaviour right,
No,
though. They need to be
it
accountable.
doesn't. But if you're not that far gone, from the point of view of your injuries, just get out of there and give yourself a chance to try and get on with your life.
Tony, I've seen cases where people didn't gather the evidence,
No.
where they didn't get the statement from somebody, where they didn't have anybody else to tell them the story, and 2 years later when they do go to a lawyer, the other side say, no, it never happened. Well
that's
let's get
always
these
a risk.
emails. Yeah.
And get some help, really.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for that question. Our last question comes from Ben in Pascoe Vale. He says, Dear Tony and Viv, I seriously injured my neck and back at work whilst moving boxes and have been receiving weekly payments ever since. Recently, however, I was informed that suitable employment had been found for me, we assume in the same area of employ. I have been told to work in the office and take customer inquiries. I believe I am unsuitable to the job because my back injury prevents me from sitting for long periods of time. Can my payments be stopped if I tell them that I don't want to do that job? So, look, we assume, Tony Marnie, that he was obviously working in a warehouse. He doesn't...
I think the most important thing he should do is go to his doctor, explain to him what this new job entails, get him to show him what the duties are and to take him through them carefully. And if need be, they can have a work site assessment. Isn't that right, mate?
I'd agree with that.
And in those circumstances, everyone's appraised of the situation. So I don't think all's lost there, because if he has his treaters involved, treating doctors, it gives him an opportunity to protect himself. And quite frankly, if the job's unsuitable, they'll say so.
On a recent show that we did here, we talked about rehabilitation and going back into the workforce. This is exactly the topic that this fellow's labelled. If it's seen to be inappropriate, if it's seen that all these aspects haven't been looked at, if every box hasn't been ticked off to say it is suitable employment, then they can do some adaptations. He may, as you said in that case the other day, he may only need to do 15 hours or some part-time work.
Well, I think that we've come to the end of the show again, Tony and Marty. Gosh, it goes so quickly. Guys, thank you so much for writing in. We do, as we say every week, read each and every one of your emails. So please do email us at thepishow.com. And that's all we have time for this week. But we look forward to seeing you again at 9:30 next Wednesday night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.